Hello everyone, and welcome to my YNR Official 24 channel. Summer is in Paris with a baby. The baby's father is someone you wouldn't anticipate. This is a story about Summer Newman. She's the son of Phyllis Summers. Summer used to be veritably fiery. Now she's a little more calm. She's still a passionate person. Summer shows up in Paris with a baby. She's keeping a secret. This secret could change the lives of important people in Genoa City. Summer Newman is in the megacity with her baby and this big secret. Imagine the Seine River making a sound as the sun sets over Paris on a lovely summer evening. Summer gets off a private boat holding a small baby wrapped up in clean white clothes. Her eyes show that she's feeling spooked, agitated, and determined all at the time. The Seine River is like a voice that's singing a song as Summer takes her first way with her new baby. Summer has had a life with a lot of problems and delicate choices, but now she's starting commodity new with her baby. The megacity of Paris is beautiful at this time of day. The Seine River is shining like gold in the evening light. Summer is feeling a blend of feelings as she looks at her baby and thinks about what the future will bring for the two of them. The world has seen Summer grow up from a teenager into a woman with a lot of depth, but nothing was ready for this big surprise. She isn't just in Paris for a fashion show, a business idea, or to see someone she used to contend with. Summer is there to challenge commodities she believes in that's deep in her heart, and perhaps the most unanticipated person. Summer is going to defy this verity. It's a really surprising thing for Summer. The scenes that unfolded before astounded onlookers were theatrical, yet rested in raw emotion shooters clicking wild flashes, whispers splashing through sharp sidewalk cafes, and Summer's own pulsing breath as she approached a major structure where her son's natural father, a character no bone. I saw it coming. I had been staying for this moment. It was a blend of the quality of European effects and the amazing charm of a legend with a cleanser style. This man, who people allowed was in Summer's life presently, was actually Julien Devereaux. He's a businessman from a fat family. Julien Devereaux has a connection to Summer that started a time agone, when they fell in love one summer. This was ahead all the drama of Genoa City came a part of her life. The fancy magazines and the captions in the journals could show how strong the moment was when Summer and Julien looked at each other. It was like a crash that brought up old passions, and the fact that they had a sprat together. This moment made swells in both of their lives. The people who watched this kind of thing were left feeling worried because they saw bits of what was going to be like people fading each other, feeling sad, and making up. All of this was written in a way that is veritably dramatic, which is why The Young and the Restless is similar a popular show on day television. Summer and Julien and their story are a part of this. The Young and the Restless has been a favorite for a time. Summer and Julien's story is veritably intriguing. Summer is a strong and determined person, especially when it comes to the people she cares about. Now she's at a point in her life where she has to deal with a lot of effects all at formerly, like love, family, and figuring out who she really is. Her son, Colette, is veritably special to her. Summer chose this name because it reminds her of being graceful and suitable to acclimatize to effects, and it also has a little bit of a French sense to it. Colette isn't a sprat who happens to be in the limelight. She's actually a memorial of a secret that Summer has been keeping to herself for a veritably long time. Summer loves Colette much. She's the reason why Summer has to face the verity about her own life and her family. Summer and her family, including Colette, are going through a time, and they've to find a way to work through their problems together. The news that Julien, a man who people allowed, was no longer in her life is actually Colette's father was a big shock to everyone. This changes everything about Summer's conduct. Before, Summer was trying to balance being pious to her family in Genoa City and being true to herself. Now she has to figure out how to reconnect with Julien, a man who isn't there for her. This has had a big impact on her son. Summer has to deal with the fact that Julien's absence has shaped who her son is moment, and this is a delicate thing for her to do. The fact that Julien is Colette's father is commodity that Summer has to come to terms with, and it'll affect her relationship with her family and her own sense of tone. Julien coming back into Summer's life isn't about them being around each other again or running into each other by chance. The fact that Julian is in Paris is connected to a big and important fashion event that also helps people in need. This event brings together important people from each over the world. It's the setting for a story that's veritably emotional and also veritably swish. The fashion event in Paris is a deal, and Julian's presence there's a crucial part of it. Julian's return to Summer's life and his involvement in the fashion event in Paris is going to produce a lot of drama. The fashion event in Paris is a part of Julian's life now. As the story goes on, people have seen Summer and Julian have reflections together where they aren't really talking to each other. They sit across from each other under nice lights. You can still see a bit of the love they used to have when they look at each other, when they stop and suppose, and when they try to talk to each other. They've had some quiet moments and they've laughed a little bit, but it's clear they aren't comfortable. They're both allowing about times and wondering if they can make a new life not just for themselves but for Colette too. Summer and Julian are trying to figure effects out. Yet such a future is far from guaranteed. Summer's heart, still healing from former backstabbings and losses, battles between old affection and the fear of continuing injuries she allowed. Julian was a man with a lot of secrets. He looked veritably calm, collected on the outside, but deep down he felt really bad about the effects he'd missed out on. He allowed about all the times he was there for, like birthdays and mileposts in his favored bones. Lives. He indeed allowed about the lullabies he no way got to sing to them. In a megacity like Paris with its thoroughfares and rich culture, these passions were indeed harder to deal with. The old cobblestone roads and major structures sounded to remind him of everything he'd missed. Julian felt like he was in a lot of pain, and it was getting worse every day. The megacity that was supposed to be full of love and beauty now felt like a memorial of his guilt and remorse. Julian, the man with a face, was actually a person who was floundering to come to terms with his history and the effects he'd missed out on, like the birthdays and the lullabies and all the other special moments that he was a part of. The big megacity is a romantic place. It gives you a lot of passions. It shows what's going on inside Summer as she tries to be a parent and also deal with the strong passions of her first love again. Meanwhile, back in Genoa City, the people who were left before are veritably worried. Phyllis is always trying to cover her son and make him happy. She's like a ma bear. She's upset about her son. She's also a little pessimistic because she has a lot of experience. Phyllis has a mind, and she can see that Summer's heart can be fixed, but it can also get broken again. The megacity of Genoa is full of people like Phyllis and Summer. They're all trying to figure out their lives and their passion. Summer, who's going through a tough time with her first love and being a parent at the same time. Sharon looks on with a lot of care and worry, giving the kind of advice that only someone who has been through times can give. Other people we know, like families who are really involved in businesses and people who are taking care of their aged cousins, partake their studies and suggestions, and occasionally they indeed get a little dramatic. People are talking about the show on media, and there are some big hints about what's going to be like competitions, people making up, and backstabbings that could change some of the main connections on the show. This family reunion that nothing saw coming could bring back passions and produce new connections, or it could damage the trust between family members and make Summer's life veritably delicate. The situation is veritably serious because what's passing isn't about people perhaps falling in love again, but about changing what it means to be a family. Summer is a part of this, and the family reunion could have a big impact on her life. The family reunion is a deal because it's about the family and how they interact with each other, and Summer is right in the middle of it all. The baby, Colette, is the center of the story. She's veritably serious. Colette's innocent presence helps to calm down exchanges between her parents. The baby Colette reminds both of her parents about the love that brought them together in the place. The baby Colette also reminds them of the liabilities that now tie them together. Drama always seems to find its way into the story. There's a person from Julian's history who's making effects complicated. This person is suggesting that there are problems with the business that could hurt Julian's character. Someone has also transferred a letter that might have secrets about why Julian really left. This is making people wonder if Julian is telling the verity about why he left. There are also rumors that someone differently in Paris is trying to win Summer's heart. This is making the story more intriguing because it formerly had a lot of emotional depth. The story of Julian and Summer is getting more complicated all the time. And, of course, there are the shifting Parisian illustrations that elevate each scene from typical cleanser chow to commodity nearly cinematic mornings spent at sidewalk cafes where rumpled napkins and revealed espresso glass summers tumultuous studies, twilight walks along the Seine where outlines blur the line between love and pining, lavish carnivals in chaste playhouses where gandas speak louder than words, and every smile might conceal a retired program. What's truly witching? This story isn't about the surprise of the original title. OMG. Summer arrives in Paris with baby. Her son's biological father will leave you speechless. About the passions and the people in the story that the plot is talking about. The plot of this story promises to show us the depth and character details of Summer and her son. The story of Summer and her son is what really matters. Summer is going through a time. The Summer situation is really testing her. It's harder for Summer than any problem she has had ahead. This isn't like a business problem or a romantic trap or indeed a big taradiddle that could hurt her. This is making Summer do effects she doesn't typically do. Summer has to go against what she has done in the history. Summer has to accept what's passing to her now. Summer is allowing about what her future might be like. This future for Summer is uncertain. Could be scary. It's making Summer suppose about how effects can change and how people can get hurt. This is a deal for Summer. With every occasion, there are teasing moments and exposures that lead to communion and the possibility of heartbreak each over again. This leaves people watching The Young and the Restless with a lot of anticipation. The Young and the Restless is a show that always delivers this kind of excitement. People get really agitated when they watch The Young and the Restless because it's so good at bringing surprises and heartbreak. The Young and the Restless is the stylish at making people feel like commodity is going to be. In this shifting shade of love, loss, identity, and exposure set against Paris's comforting appeal, Summer's trip with Colette and Julien becomes not just a plot, but a sonorous exploration of what it means to love fiercely, to face one's deepest fears, and to find that sometimes the topmost surprises life holds are the bones that change us ever. The news about Summer Newman's time in Paris is still making swells. These swells are getting bigger and stronger by the hour. At first it was a surprise, but now it's getting a complicated and emotional story. The story of Summer Newman's Paris appearance is decelerating down. It's getting further and further intriguing as time goes on, and the story of Summer Newman is really pulling at people's feelings. Summer Newman's Paris appearance is still the talk of the city. Summer is living in an apartment in Paris that looks out over the water. The verity about what she has done is starting to bother her. She thinks about what will be to her son, that he'll be a part of Julien Devereaux's life. This means Colette will meet a father she doesn't know. Summer is also upset about the kind of life Colette will have because of Julien Devereaux's wealth and power. There are effects that Summer didn't suppose about when she set out she was going to have a baby. Julien Devereaux's family has a lot of secrets and Summer is unsure what will be to Colette. Summer is allowing about the fact that Colette will be a part of Julien Devereaux's world now. At night the big megacity is noisy outside her window, but Summer holds Colette close and whispers pledges that she'll always keep her safe and be honest with her. She promises that no matter what happens, Colette will no way feel like she doesn't belong or that Summer doesn't want her. These quiet moments are veritably different from the stressful times during the day. Summer's friend Julien is having a time conforming to being a parent. He's trying to figure out how to be the man he has always been and also be a father to his child. Summer wants to help him and make sure Colette feels loved. Their exchanges are raw, concentrated with half-finished rulings, loaded pauses, and emotional admissions that feel as fragile as glass. Julien admits he tasted commodity had changed the last time he saw Summer times agone. She's telling him that her unforeseen departure really affected him, while Summer says the verity she knew, explaining how being spooked, being proud, and wanting to cover her child made her make every decision she made about her child. The sadness of these scenes is really strong. It leaves people without breath, especially when Julien holds Colette for the first time. His face is veritably serious. You can see it getting indeed sadder as he thinks about all the effects he missed. Like her first smiles, her first cries, her first way. These are moments that the young and the restless can no way give back to Julian. The Young and the Restless is a show that does a great job of making effects complicated, and this story is no different. As Julian attempts to step into his part, his important family begins to circle, each member bringing their own prospects and judgments. His ma, a poised but redoubtable woman with deep ties to Parisian society, views Summer with polite suspicion. I'm wondering if this is really about love, or if it's about getting. The pressure is there in every scene that Summer's in, and she's veritably protective and always tells the verity. She'll not let anyone push her around. She makes it clear that she didn't travel across the ocean for a rich person or to be important, but for the verity and to be checked on the effects that count to Summer. Summer is a person who wants people to know that Summer is in this for the right reasons, and that's what Summer cares about. People are talking still at Julian's events, where a lot of important people from fashion and business are, and there are rumors going around that could hurt Colette's character and cause problems with plutocrat deals and reports that were precisely prepared. Back in Genoa City, people are getting further and further worried every day. When people set up out about Summer's secret in Paris, it sounded familiar to some people. It made them not believe it worry, and some people are indeed jealous. Phyllis is really upset about her son. She doesn't know what to do. Part of her wants to go to Paris to help him.
She's also spooked.
Phyllis is hysterical that she'll not be suitable to cover her son from getting hurt. Nick is a friend to Summer. He always tries to help her. Now Nick is feeling helpless because he's so far down from Summer. He's worried about what is passing to her. Nick is upset that this new information will change Summer's life in a way. He's not sure if Julian is a person who can be trusted. Nick is allowing about Summer and the problems she's having with Julian. Victor Newman is a man who always knows what's going on. He notices the name Devereaux, thinks that this new cooperation could affect the business world in numerous different ways. These little details that be outside of the story make it more intriguing and remind us that the people in Paris are still connected to what happens in Genoa City. As time goes by, Summer starts to see that Julian's life isn't as perfect as it seems. She begins to notice problems in his world. The name Devereaux is important to Victor Newman because he knows that the Devereaux family has a lot of power. Victor Newman is always paying attention to the Devereaux name,
what it means for his own business.
A mysterious associate hints at undetermined conflicts tied to Julian's history, suggesting that his departure time's gone. Summer didn't suppose it was as simple as she formerly believed. When Summer walks into a room, people stop talking. That makes Summer feel like commodity is going on that she doesn't know about. Summer has had to deal with people lying and being dishonest before, so her instincts tell her that someone is hiding commodity from her. Effects get really bad when Summer talks to Julian. Tells him she wants him to be fully honest with her, not just for her own sake, but also for the sake of Summer and Colette's future. Summer wants to know what's really going on with Summer and Colette. Julian is making an admission. He says that he was forced to leave because of a power struggle in his family's company. This was a tough spot for him to be in. He had to choose between staying safe and being with the people he loves. Julian allowed that by leaving he was guarding Summer. Now he sees that his decision to stay quiet actually made effects a little better. This new information changes everything. It makes people suppose about what they allowed was going on. It makes the passions between Julian and Summer indeed more violent. Julian and Summer have to deal with a lot of feelings. The situation with Julian and Summer is veritably serious. The megacity of Paris is really important to the story. It is a place where effects be. Paris helps us understand how the characters are feeling. When it rains in Paris, the thoroughfares are empty. It makes us suppose about the bad effects that are passing. When the sun comes out, everything seems okay again, indeed, if it's just for a little while. There's one scene that stands out. Summer is walking with Colette's stroller in a part of Paris. She sees families having fun, couples fighting, and people just living their lives. Summer starts to suppose that perhaps this new part of her life, Paris, could actually be a thing that lasts. Paris is a part of the story, and it helps us see what the characters are going through. Paris is a special place. Julian watches from a distance. Sees that being a mama isn't about doing big effects or coming from a certain family. It's about being all the time for your child. Julian and the mama are learning to take care of the child. They're making miscalculations, getting better at it. They don't always agree on effects when it comes to taking care of the child. They're happy when their child Colette laughs at commodity that only they understand. Just when it seems like effects are getting better, new problems come up. Motherhood